Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another speed build video in The Sims 4. Happy Sunday, hope you're all having the most amazing day ever so far, and thank you so much for joining me here today. So we are building in Newcrest on a 40 by 30 lot, I believe, and we are building a big family house which has four bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, I believe, and sleeps up to 7 Sims. And I had an absolute blast creating this house, which is kind of funny because my last video was me creating an ugly build on purpose using items I cannot stand. I'll pop a card in the right hand corner for you if you want to check that out. It was something just a little bit different, and I want to start doing more build challenges on the channel, like more on camera stuff. So I'm really hoping you enjoyed that, because if you have seen it, that is, I really enjoyed doing it and I definitely want to be doing more of that. But as I was saying, it was kind of nice for me to just sit down and build like my normal stereotypical family house, because it feels like it's been such a long time since I've done something like this. Because before my on camera video with the ugly items, I actually built a retro motel. I'll put a card in the right hand corner for you for that one as well, in case you haven't checked that one out. But that was also super fun. But it's really nice to just sit down and get back to my roots, get back to what I'm kind of comfortable doing and what brings me the most joy. And that's definitely building these family houses for you all. I did use a reference image from Pinterest. Unfortunately, I forgot to save it, so I do apologize. There will not be a reference image on screen that shows you the reference image that I was working on with this build. Now, in terms of the reference image, I only used the reference image for the shape. I actually decided kind of on my own, not that I'm giving myself a pat on the back or anything, but I kind of decided on my own that I wanted to go for this more sort of neutral beige theme on the outside, just because it's not something that I tend to do typically, and I wanted this build to be a little bit different from my other houses. And you'll notice on the inside as well, in terms of the clutter, I definitely held back a little bit more because I wanted this house to be a little bit more accessible to everyone as well. And you'll have to bear with me here. I did use these windows from Snowy Escape, but I do end up switching some of them out for the windows from the My Wedding Stories pack. You'll see in just a moment, but if you do follow me on Twitter, I'm at RachelPedd on Twitter if you don't already, but I do post a lot of behind the scenes sort of screenshots, and I posted this yesterday because I started on this build yesterday and it's taken me I was going to say yesterday again, it feels like I'm saying that a lot, but it took me all weekend essentially to build this house, just on and off, because I've been doing other things, such as I've been painting my bedroom in my real life house, or repainting is probably more the word, because the feature wall in our room has always been a little bit patchy, so we've just gone over that with another base of paint just to bring it a little bit more matte and less blotchy. But yeah, I've been doing that, and then just various other bits around the house in real life, so I was just building this house in between, so it's taken me a couple of days to do that, but I am really pleased with the overall result. I hope you all are too. I think the overall shape and vibe is definitely RachelPedd-esque, but the colour scheme, I hope is something a little bit different. So I really hope that you all enjoy this house, and not pack restricted. I'm afraid I am planning on doing more pack restricted builds on the channel, because I think they'll be more accessible to more people, and also it'll just give me a little bit more of a challenge, and it will enable me to create some slightly different builds, because you think very differently when you pack restrict. I think when you have access to all the items, it's really easy to just go for items that you always use. It's too easy. Like the interior of this house, I'm convinced I've done something very similar before because it's difficult not to, especially when you're sort of inside your comfort zone. But anyway, I digress. So the landscaping here, disclaimer, it does change ever so slightly. So these sort of hot pink thistles that you see here, as much as I do kind of like them, I do swap them out for more of like a lilac purpley bush from base game, which I think works a lot better. But you'll see that in just the next clip. You'll see that we do change some colour schemes, and then I add some additional landscaping to the build as well that I did off camera, because I was very indecisive with this house, as I usually am. I am a perfectionist. I don't know if you can tell watching my speed builds that I'm a perfectionist. Here we are. So this is the landscaping changed. I just think it looks so much better, and this is also where we change the windows up. So this is where I switch out some of the windows for these ones from my wedding stories, and I love, love, love how these look. I think they look incredible. I'm obsessed. I'm gonna be honest. I was kind of on the fence about this house. I was like, yeah, I mean, it looks okay, but I'm not in love with it. As soon as I changed the windows, I was like, okay, I love this house now. And then we do move on to the interior. So this is me trying to figure out the floor plan for the bottom floor. Now on this floor, we do have a living room, a kitchen dining, and we have a dining room as well, separate. We have a playroom for the kids, we have a teen room, and then like a twin older kids room. So I mean, because the house is so wide, it was difficult for me not to add bedrooms on the ground floor. And then on the upper floor, we only have 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms up there. So I was just about to say, wait till we get up there, but I did do the floor plan for this just here right now. But it took me a little while to figure it out because I was trying to work out how I could squeeze 3 bedrooms up here. It didn't work. I'm afraid it just didn't work. There's just the 2 bedrooms and the 2 bathrooms. However, I do utilize the landing space, and I do put a desk with a computer on, which I thought was kind of a nice idea. So it's like a communal family computer, which I thought worked really, really well. And the first room we do work on is the living room here. It took me a little while to figure out a colour scheme. I definitely gravitated more towards green tones, specifically greens from the Dream Home Decorator pack, which it feels like it's been such a long time since I've used items from that pack, but I know, before you say anything, I know I gravitate towards those items more often than I probably am aware. But I think with this house, I definitely wanted it to be centered around this sort of sage green colour, and I think the parents that live in this house, they're very house proud. They are extremely house proud. So you will notice that the living room, the kitchen and the dining room are very, very neat. They're very tidy. There's not a toy in sight, which is why the parents created the playroom for the younger kids. And that's their space. They can do whatever they want to in there, but they cannot bring their toys into any other part of the house. The parents are very, very specific about that. So that's sort of like the backstory that I'd created in my head. But if you want to add some more clutter into these rooms and make them look a little bit more lived in, then please feel free to do so. But I definitely wanted to tone back on the clutter with this build because, as I was saying at the start, I wanted to make it just a little bit more accessible to more people. So you'll have to let me know if this level of clutter is something that you prefer, or if you prefer when I clutter my builds up. I definitely want to try and find somewhere in between, but it was really nice to kind of cut back and just consciously try to just make everything a little less cluttered. So you'll have to let me know which one you prefer. But the living room is pretty much done. As you'll see, again, talking about clutter, I held back, so it was a lot easier for me to finish the rooms in a much shorter period of time because I wasn't really worrying about sort of where things were going and like just over cluttering. Anyway, this is the kitchen dining room. It's quite narrow and quite slim, but I think the sort of the room works. I do love the fact that I used these counters from the Cool Kitchen pack. I haven't done that for quite some time, and I figured just because we're going with like a sage green and dark wood theme, these worked quite well. And I did pair them with these cabinets from the Dream Home Decorator pack on the wall. So I do like mismatching my counters with my cabinets, I must admit. It just makes the kitchens look a little bit more unique. And yeah, I really like how this looks. So the kitchen, it's probably not my favourite room in the house. I'm trying to work out what my favourite room is. I think it might be the teen room on the ground floor. I really like the colour scheme that I went for with that room. I'm not sure it's a colour scheme that I've ever gone for before, but we'll have to have a look and see if I can jog my memory there. But I do really like the kitchen. I like how it matches the living room with the colour schemes and everything else. And yeah, as I was saying, I definitely wanted to keep the main areas of the house more sort of neutral and a little bit calmer because the parents, they've got 5 kids, you know, so it's probably quite hectic at times. And I think this is their way of sort of saying, okay, it's hectic, but we can have our own space. And the kids are very, very respectful of that. Or at least that's sort of like the family that I had in mind. That's my dream. That's my dream. I'm a very house proud in person. So when I do have kids, I want them to respect that I am house proud and to like keep their mess in their own room. I know that sounds awful. And I know it's not going to work out like that. But I just figured, especially not at the start, But I think when the kids get older, they get a little bit more of an understanding of, okay, you work hard, you keep your house clean, so we're just going to stay in our own spaces, and family time is, very limited not limited in terms of time, but limited in terms of like what they do together in the house. Maybe they sit down and have a family night, like a family movie night or a games night or something like that. But when it comes to toys and stuff, either they bring them out of the rooms and they tidy up, or they stay in their rooms. As you can see, I gave it quite a bit of thought. But anyway, the kitchen is pretty much done. I did decide to add this little breakfast table here, which I thought was quite cute, but because it's a 7-sim house, I do have a separate dining room as well, which I think works really, really well with this particular house. And it's something that I personally don't have in my own house in real life. We have a kitchen dining space. We don't have a separate dining room. So it'd be interesting to see if anyone else has a separate dining room in their house. I'm not sure it's something that I would love to have. It's because, I don't know, like we eat at our table in our kitchen, so we don't really, I don't think we'd really use a dining room. I don't know. Anyway, so this is the dining room. It's a slightly odd shape, as you can see here, so I do try and utilize the space as best I can and just add some cute items to try and bring in the sort of overall theme that we have going on in the rest of the house into this room as well. There is a fireplace here. I'm not sure if this is usable because I did not play test this fireplace. I play tested the one in the living room, but not this one, because to be completely honest, I forgot that I'd put a fireplace in there. So this is the really fun part of the house. This is the playroom, and I'm thinking in terms of realism, the parents would probably be locking those French doors onto the garden there to stop the kids from wandering outside. But since there's no toddlers in this house, or none that I envisioned anyway, there's more like kids and teens. So I don't know. Although I do add like a toddler play thing in here, and then as I was taking the screenshots, I was like, hang on a minute, there aren't any toddlers in this house. Why have I added this? So I do delete it, but I deleted it after I'd already uploaded the house. So you might want to remove that. Or just pretend you don't see it. I think I was thinking, okay, well, kids can use that, right? But they can't. It's just for toddlers. So I will point that out in just a moment when I do end up placing it. I think it's going in just a minute. Here we go. So that is only usable by toddlers, which makes sense in my head now that I'm saying it out loud. But I thought children could use it, and they can't. Like, they really can't. So I deleted it, but it was too late. So I'm so sorry. But I really like the idea of having this playroom. I did this in a house that I did relatively recently. I can't remember which one it was though. And I actually really liked the idea, so I did decide to do it again, which I thought was kind of cool. So I really hope you Sims have some sort of use for this. I'm thinking if, when now we get the growing together pack, this would be ideal. And I definitely think when I'm doing builds with that pack and with the new world, I'll definitely be adding more playrooms because, let's be honest, it's growing together. So it's more like a generation sort of theme. Now, this is the downstairs bathroom. It's a full bathroom. It's the only bathroom I film on camera because the 2 bathrooms upstairs are pretty much identical to this one. And I didn't really feel the need to record them because I think you'd have been very bored. So I hope that's okay. It's not unusual for me to do that, but I just thought I'd mention it. So nothing too special about this bathroom. I tried to clutter it up just a little bit, but not too much. And then we do start on one of the bedrooms on the ground floor, which is what I envisioned to be twin, probably boys, who are children, but maybe like very nearly teenagers because their bedroom's not overly childish. It's kind of grown up. And yeah, I love the colour scheme in this bedroom. It's very unusual. It works but shouldn't work, if that makes sense. There's a lot of turquoises, dark blues with pops of yellow, and then as I went on and continued with the room, I started adding other colours as well. So it ends up being a little bit mismatched, but that's okay because it's a kid's room, and this is their space. This is the space that they get to just disappear to. And yeah, I really, really like it. So I do use a lot of items from the high school years pack, which is not unusual for me. I love using items from the high school years pack. I've mentioned this many times in my voiceovers before. I think that was a very solid pack in terms of build and buy items, especially for kid/teen rooms. So I do use them a lot. My plan is to create a build with base game and high school years, base game and dream home decorator, and just basically try and do a build but using like base game plus one pack, and try and just go through as many packs as I possibly can, because I'd love to see what sort of houses I can create. And as I said at the start, I think it'd be kind of interesting to do, because you definitely make some very different decisions when you restrict yourself. But I had a lot of fun decorating and cluttering up this particular room here. I love cluttering up kids' rooms. It's one of the things I love most about building in The Sims 4, and that's probably one of the main reasons that I do a lot of family homes with various sort of life stages. I didn't include toddlers in this build, as I was previously saying when I added that little play table in the playroom, and I was initially going to, and then I just decided against it. So the bunk beds on the upper floor are for 2 kids who probably were toddlers not too long ago, and then they're now kids, so it wouldn't take much to change the beds out for some toddler beds. I just thought that this family probably have some slightly older children. And then I was kind of struggling with what to put on this wall, and then this one here came through very proudly from the industrial loft kit, so I thought that worked quite well. This is by far my favorite bedroom of the entire house. This is the probably teen girls room, and she's on this floor. She can look after her brothers in the next room and just make sure everything is as it should be. But I love the color scheme that we went for in here. So we've got a lot of blacks, a lot of pinks, a lot of mint greens, and I just think it's a lot of fun. I think it's really cute. I have used this bed previously in another build and in another bedroom that I've decorated, but I know for a fact I didn't use this color scheme. This is probably quite a new color scheme for me, given that I wanted to try some slightly new things with this build, given that, as I was saying at the beginning, I went for more of like a soft, neutral, pastel-y sort of color on the exterior, which is, again, it's kind of unusual for me. I tend to go quite bold with my exteriors, but it was kind of nice to do something different. And then ditto with the interior as well. I just wanted to try some new things and not go too over the top with clutter. The kids' rooms, you know, they're slightly different, because it's hard not to clutter up kids' rooms, and I just wanted to make sure that each of the kids had everything that they could possibly need. So they've got like computers, they've got somewhere to sit, they've got TVs, they've got bookshelves and things like that. I just wanted to make sure that they had everything that they could possibly want. You could definitely add a desk with a computer on here if you wanted to. It's just not something that I added for some reason, because on the landing on the upper floor we do have the communal PC, so if she needs to do any homework, then she can definitely do it on there. Or maybe she's got a laptop and she likes to do it in the kitchen. I don't know. I didn't really give too much thought to that. But this is the main bedroom for the house, and as you can see, it does have an ensuite, which, as I was saying, I decorated off camera, but there's really not too much to say about this room. It came together very quickly, because I knew in my mind what sort of colour scheme I wanted to go for, so it was kind of refreshing for me to just get this done and dusted. Main bedrooms they're along with gardens, in my opinion. They're definitely not my favourite parts of a house to decorate, but I made the most of it. I made the best of it. It's not terrible, it's just, I don't know, I think you can kind of tell that this probably isn't my favourite room, but you know, the parents are very, as I was saying, they're very house proud, and they just want to keep things probably quite as minimalist as possible. Then this is another twin room here, so we do have a bunk bed in here, and I think in this room I was thinking that there are 2 like younger girls in here, because we do go for quite a soft pastel-y palette, and I really like this. It took me a while to figure out the colour palette that I wanted to go for, but I basically chose a swatch of a rug that I really liked and then just built everything around that, which is not unusual for me. I love doing that. So I really like how this turned out. It's very soft and pastel-y and just sort of girly, and I really liked it. So you'll have to let me know what you think about this one. But I really like when I've got sort of Sims in mind for kids' rooms, because it definitely makes it easier for me to personalise them. As much as I love doing rooms that don't necessarily have, like, I don't give too much thought to the personality, it's nice when I do, because I think the colour schemes just come so much easier. At least that's my opinion. So yeah, 7 Sims in this house, which I think is it's a good size. I definitely could have done 8 Sims, but you know, I wanted the teenager to have their own space. So and then we just end up adding some more clutter items in here and just various activities for the kids, but that is pretty much it for this video. I can't believe how fast this voiceover has gone. But anyway, yes, you can get this house from the gallery right now. My origin ID is RachelPedd. Tray files, as always, are linked down in the description box below. You can get them for free from Sim File Share. But thank you so much everyone for joining me here today. You all take care, and I will see you next time I post a video. Bye!